Some revolvers look amazing on a spec sheet, and then you touch one off at the range, and suddenly that great-on-paper gun turns into a problem you didn't pay for. The .357 Magnum is supposed to be the king of defensive cartridges, but these 5 revolvers will make you question everything you thought you knew about wheel guns. They're expensive lessons wrapped in shiny marketing. Disclaimer: this ranking is built off documented owner experiences, reliability reports, and real-world performance problems. These aren't just my feelings. There are repeat patterns that keep popping up across forums, reviews, and range write-ups. Your individual gun might be different, but with these models, the odds are not stacked in your favor. Number 5, Taurus Defender 605. Budget revolvers are tempting, especially when they promise magnum power for bargain money. The Taurus Defender 605 lives right in that lane, and that's exactly why it earned a slot on this list. Let's start with the elephant in the room. Quality control. Taurus has said they've stepped up manufacturing standards, but the Defender 605 still gets hit with what owners politely call inconsistencies in the metalwork. That's corporate talk for this. Sometimes you get a decent gun, sometimes you get a paperweight. One reviewer described rough edges here and there, and more concerning, longevity and wear patterns that show up faster than comparable revolvers. The trigger is the next problem waiting to happen. Owners regularly describe the double-action pull as notably heavy, and honestly, excessively heavy for a gun this size. That's not just uncomfortable, it's accuracy killing. When you're trying to make a precise shot under pressure, the last thing you need is a trigger that feels like it's fighting you the entire way through. Your finger will be screaming after 50 rounds, and your groups will look like shotgun patterns. Then you've got ammo sensitivity. The Defender 605 is reported to be inconsistent with certain ammo brands or types, especially cheaper loads or reloads. That can turn into misfires or extraction problems. And those are the kinds of failures that turn a defensive firearm into expensive jewelry. A reliable gun should run quality ammo without drama, not throw tantrums like a picky toddler. Recoil management is fine, mediocre at best. It's not as savage as some ultra-lightweight snubbies, but owners still describe the recoil as brisk and annoying after 50 rounds. Stack that recoil with a heavy trigger, and long practice sessions become work instead of productive training. Here's the real kicker. The Defender 605 sells itself on price, but that cheap price comes with hidden costs. You may end up buying aftermarket springs to tame that trigger. You'll likely stick to premium ammunition to dodge reliability issues. And there's always the possibility you'll need to ship it back for warranty work, assuming the warranty process actually goes your way. Bottom line, you're not saving money, you're gambling. Yeah, some folks report 0 issues with their Defender 605, but gun ownership should not feel like a lottery where you hope you got a good one. When your life could depend on it, good enough sometimes isn't good enough. Number 4, Arms Mag Pug. When a company's quality control reputation gets described as hit or miss, that's your warning sign. Arms earned that label the hard way, and the Mag Pug is a clean example of why. The reliability complaints on Arms guns are legendary in the worst way. Owners report light primer strikes, bad enough that some say they need specific primer brands just to get 100% ignition. Let that sink in. You're shopping for special primers because your revolver won't reliably light off standard ammo. Some shooters report needing multiple hits to fire a single round, and it doesn't stop there. The trigger can jam mid-pull, so the hammer never drops. Picture that in a defensive moment. You're committed to the press, and the trigger locks up halfway. Extraction failures also show up a lot. Cases stick in the cylinder so badly that people end up picking them out one at a time with tools. Now let's talk build quality, because it's not just function. Owners describe the finish as rough, unfinished, with machining marks you can clearly see. Critical parts can come in crooked too, like the top strap sight groove arriving shifted left. That's not a preference issue. That's a quality control issue at the factory level. Some guns reportedly show up with broken sights right out of the box, and the ported barrel, which is supposed to tame recoil, creates its own mess. People report powder and debris blowing back at the shooter, even into the face. It's like the gun is actively trying to blind you while you're running it. Here's the part that really drives it home. Charter Arms has a reported 25% warranty return rate. That means 1 out of 4 goes back for repairs. Those are not odds you want on something meant to protect your life. Factory lubrication can also harden over time. That makes the action sluggish and more prone to malfunctions, especially in cold weather. Frame pins have been reported walking out. Cylinder retention screws backing out during use. These aren't wear and tear stories. These are baseline manufacturing defects, the kind that make you wonder if the gun might literally loosen up in your hands. When you buy a Charter Arms product, you're not buying confidence. You're buying a lottery ticket. Maybe you get one that runs. Maybe you get one that needs immediate warranty work. Maybe you get one that looks like it was assembled by somebody who learned gunsmithing from random videos online. For a tool that might need to work when everything is on the line, maybe isn't good enough. And the fact that some Charter Arms guns run fine doesn't excuse the systematic quality control problems that keep following the brand. Real quick before we jump to the next revolver, hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying the video. It helps the channel grow, and it pushes this content out to more awesome folks like you. Appreciate you hanging out with us. All right, let's keep moving. Number 3, Chiappa Rhino. Innovation in firearms can be a blast. I love seeing new ideas. But the Chiappa Rhino is proof that different doesn't automatically mean better. This space-looking revolver fires from the bottom chamber of the cylinder instead of the top. The idea is to reduce muzzle flip, and on paper, that sounds smart. But fixing one problem created a pile of new ones. The most consistently criticized part of the Rhino is the trigger. Owners describe the double action pull as very heavy, terrible, and the stiffest I've ever worked. And it's not even a clean break. It has multiple distinct stages before it finally releases. That complicated heavy pull makes accurate shooting extremely difficult, especially under stress. Single action isn't much of a rescue either. Cocking the hammer, which is really a cocking lever, is extremely stiff. Often stiff enough that people say it takes 2 thumbs to run it. That makes single action mode unrealistic for anything except slow, careful range shooting. Yes, the low bore axis reduces muzzle flip like advertised, but it introduces another issue. Height over bore. Inside 5 yards, shots tend to land low compared to your point of aim. So now you have to relearn point shooting and sight alignment. In a defensive moment, your muscle memory could literally work against you. Ergonomics get called awkward by a lot of owners. Grip angle, control placement, overall feel. It takes real adaptation time. And sure, you can train around weird ergonomics. But the question is, why would you want to? There are plenty of revolvers that feel natural from the first cylinder. Here's the real insult. With all those fundamental issues on the table, the Rhino still demands premium pricing, from $1,500 to nearly $5,000. That's exotic car money for a gun that has basic usability problems that cheaper revolvers don't. The Rhino is a perfect example of chasing one flashy feature and sacrificing basic function. Yeah, reduced muzzle flip is cool, but what does reduced muzzle flip matter if the trigger is so bad you can't hit what you're aiming at? A lot of people treat it like a novelty, a conversation piece, more than a serious defensive tool. If you want a range gun that makes people say, wow, that's cool, the Rhino might scratch that itch. If you want something you can shoot accurately and trust hard, look elsewhere. Bottom line, cool looks and clever design don't automatically equal performance. The Rhino proves that sometimes the conventional approach beats the revolutionary one. Number 2, Smith & Wesson Model 360 PD. Smith & Wesson has a legendary name, which makes the 360 PD situation even more disappointing. This ultralight J-frame uses exotic materials, scandium alloy, titanium, all to cut weight down to almost nothing. But physics doesn't care about marketing. The recoil is absolutely brutal. Owners describe it as the worst recoiling handgun they've ever shot personally. Some compare it to getting hit in the hand with a baseball bat. That violent recoil can flip the gun so hard, the cylinder release can slam into your thumb with enough force to draw blood. Your hand can go numb after just a few shots. That's not a little snappy. That's counterproductive, because recoil that's severe makes fast, accurate follow-up shots nearly impossible. A lot of owners end up abandoning full-power 357 Magnum loads, and they default to 38 special ammunition instead. So now your expensive Magnum Revolver is basically a 38 special that you paid premium money for. And the lightweight build that creates the recoil problem also raises durability concerns. People report flame cutting, top strap erosion from hot gases, especially with light for caliber, high velocity bullets. Meaning this: if you actually run the gun with what it's meant to shoot, you can literally accelerate damage over time. The price makes it sting even more. The Model 360 PD commonly runs between $900 and $1,200. That's premium pricing for a revolver that many shooters find too painful to run in its advertised caliber. Owners also complain that the price is stupidly high these days for the quality they're seeing. And here's the cruel irony: the 360 PD is built to be the ultimate concealed carry revolver. It is incredibly comfortable to carry because it weighs almost nothing. But when you actually need to shoot it, the punishment makes accurate shooting under stress feel unrealistic. A lot of owners push it into backup gun territory. Instead of trusting it as a primary, they carry it because it's light. But they don't trust it because they can't shoot it well. That's a compromise that defeats its own purpose. The core issue is simple. Smith & Wesson prioritized one trait: minimal weight, and they paid for it everywhere else. Yes, it carries easy, but a gun you can't shoot accurately or comfortably is basically useless when you need it most. Physics isn't a suggestion. If you launch a powerful cartridge from an ultralight platform, that energy has to go somewhere. And with the 360 PD, it goes straight into the shooter's hand. And finally, at number 1, Ruger LCR. This polymer-framed, double-action-only revolver was built for maximum concealment, but the trade-offs made to get there create serious problems. Owners describe the recoil as massive felt recoil, a vicious little gun. The LCR weighs just over 17 ounces, so when you fire full-power 357 Magnum loads, people describe it as a violent slap to the palm. That's not just uncomfortable, it wrecks accuracy, and it discourages practice. But recoil isn't even the worst issue. The LCR has a dangerous false trigger reset problem. And yes, it can be life-threatening. Multiple users report feeling a distinct click as the trigger comes forward. It feels like a full reset, but the trigger hasn't actually reset. So when you press again, nothing happens. Some defenders say you can train around it by not trying to ride the reset. But think about what that really means. You have to retrain yourself into an unnatural technique to compensate for a design flaw. In a high-stress defensive moment, you want your training to work with the gun, not against it. The original owner who called this out described it as potentially fatal and sold the gun because of it. When a person who owns it says potentially fatal, that tells you what you need to know. Now add the short barrel to a powerful cartridge. You get serious muzzle flash and serious blast. Short-barreled Magnums do that, but owners say the LCR makes it especially offensive. Some shooters find the blast more disorienting than longer-barreled options. The big consensus from owners is this: the LCR is easy to carry, but it's extremely difficult and painful to shoot with 357 Magnum ammunition. Most owners quickly move to 38 Special, or 38 plus P, for practice and carry, which basically cancels out the Magnum capability they paid for. And that's the worst-case outcome for a defensive firearm. The gun puts concealability above everything, including basic usability and safety. That false trigger reset adds mechanical uncertainty, the kind that can cause a failure at the worst possible moment. The LCR is a perfect example of what's wrong with modern design priorities. When marketing buzzwords matter more than core function, ultra-lightweight, ultra-concealable, sounds amazing in an ad, but it means nothing if the gun is too painful to train with, and the trigger system can betray you under stress. A defensive firearm should be reliable, accurate, and comfortable enough that you'll train with it regularly. The LCR in 357 Magnum fails all three, and it adds a unique safety concern you don't deal with in more conventional designs. If you've got time behind any of these revolvers, drop a comment. Tell me if your experience lines up with what I covered today. And if this helped you avoid an expensive mistake, hit that subscribe button for more honest gun reviews that can save you money and frustration. I'll see you in the next video. Good night.